seats, please. Well, most of you are seated. Good job. All right. Next up on this very important Pink Wednesday, we have the queen of hip hop, Nicki Minaj. Last year's December cover star, which I have to say personally is one of my favorite covers in recent memory. It is so beautiful. And Minaj is just coming off her Pink Friday 2 tour, which I didn't realize until recently is the highest grossing rap tour by a woman in history. So today, she joins Eva Chen in conversation about breaking records and making them. Nicki Minaj, everyone.
Thank you. Hi, guys. All right, I feel like the queen needs a proper processional, so can we give her another round of applause? Let's do this.
Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm going to hold this bag for you.
Thank you.
I might keep it. It's real cute. You need a hand?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. You're sitting here, unless you prefer to sit here.
I prefer here.
You prefer? Okay, you have a side?
I wouldn't say that.
All right. I like that.
My nails are coming off.
All right, well, I see a lot of cameras out. I approve of this as someone who works for Instagram. Get the content. Get that vertical content for stories, ma'am. I see you holding the phone sideways. I don't know what you're doing. So you guys, we are so blessed to have Miss Nicki Minaj here.
I'm so blessed to be here. And by the way, thank you guys for being here, if any of you came for me specifically. And if you haven't, I want to just say thank you to Anna, Vogue, everyone, Sergio, and you guys. Let's have some fun.
We're gonna have fun. So Chloe did a great introduction. She shared some of the most amazing stats, and I just want to read them out again because I want to take a moment to acknowledge how impressive they are truly. In 8 months, your world tour visited 16 countries, 26 states, sold out 50 shows. You had almost 800,000 fans, Barbs, and you are the highest-selling female rap tour of all time, period.
Thank you, yes.
And it was the #1 highest-selling female rap tour of all time, period, again. And the #4 highest-selling rap tour of all time, male or female. So I wanted to start by asking, in a year where, well, in a few weeks, hopefully, the future could be female, how does it feel to be the highest-selling female rap tour of all time? How does that feel to you?
Well, I feel very grateful. I have a very close-knit relationship with my fans, and they went very hard for me. So I feel a lot of gratitude. Every night at the shows, it was a different show completely every night because, you know, I do different songs, but just their emotion and passion, it just always does something to me as well. So we made these amazing memories. So it's more, to me, I mean, of course, I wasn't expecting to have the highest anything, to be honest. I didn't even know that I was in the running. But even if I didn't have that, I would have been still so grateful because the time that I spent with the Barbs at these shows, it was healing for me as well. They said it was healing for them, their inner child, but it was healing for something within me as well.
That's a great segue, actually, because you and I actually met when I worked at Teen Vogue many years ago. I still love teens, and I don't know if we can pull up the picture of when we met 12 years ago. This is going to be a cringe moment for me, not for you, for me. Let's see if they can advance, because there's a lot to unpack in this picture. Not sure if the slideshow's coming up. It's moving very slowly, but it'll come up. I want to take you back to when you were a teen. What would teenage Nicki think of yourself?
Well, she would love all of this. Like, she would be so proud.
Oh, there's the picture. Guys.
But you look so cute. You were doing a little bar pose.
The concept of the story is that you were giving me a makeover. This is 12 years ago. My stomach is out. I don't know.
I did a Barb makeover for her. And she, even in her face, she embodied the whole vibe of Barb's. So, yeah.
Yes, I also had a bowl cut. I just want to pause for a moment to acknowledge the hair. We're not going to go back there. We're not going back. But let's go back to your teenage self. Like, what would teenage Nicki think about yourself? I know you went to LaGuardia. You studied drama.
Yes.
How did that work out for you?
Well, I was very disappointed that I didn't become a big, huge, famous actress. And I wanted to become this big, famous actress within 2 years of graduating high school. So I told everybody in my school, by the time I'm 19, I'm going to be the new Hallie and Jada, because I was obsessed with both of them. Well, I was really obsessed with Jada. But it didn't happen. I realized that when you want to be an actor, you have to get up really early in the morning and go on these things called casting calls. And at that time, I went on a few. A lot of agents were actually interested in me, which was good. Mm-hmm. But I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do all of this yet. So I said, like how a lot of people say, I'm going to take a year to not go to college and just live life. I said that kind of like to myself. Like, instead of pursuing my acting, I'm going to go and get a job. Mm-hmm. I went and became a waitress. And all of the acting stuff kind of went out of the window. Because it takes a lot of commitment. That's why when I meet actresses and actors, I always pull them aside, like I did Margot Robbie when we were at the Barbie premiere. Mm-hmm. And I pulled her aside, and I was like, I'm really proud of you, and I don't want you to think I'm just saying this like how everyone else says it. I was like, I know how much this takes to be an actress and to be doing these huge lead roles. But anyway, so after waitressing, I started focusing more on music, because with music, you can go to the studio late at night, you can work in the day, and you can do music at night. So it was easier for me to juggle both of those things, and I loved music. So I put acting on the back burner, focused on music, got fired from every job that I ever had. I was doing waitressing, and I was a customer service rep, and I was an office manager, and I would always get fired.
What was the reason? What did they say in the exit interview? Don't hold back words.
Okay. Well, one of the big ones was as a waitress. A lot of times people would come and they wouldn't leave a big tip, and that's rude. But it's not even. It was so that day. I guess I was just a little bit frustrated because this lady came in with her boyfriend, I guess, and they were being annoying. So, but they needed my pen to sign the credit card slip. And I knew they weren't going to leave me a tip, so I didn't even care. But I went back to the table, and not only did they not leave me a tip, but they took my pen. So that set me off for some reason that day. It was just one of those days, and I knew I should not have done this. I still can't believe I did it. I really needed the job, but I ran outside into the parking lot, and they were just about to leave. As fate would have it, had I come out 5 seconds later, I would have still had my job. But I caught them right as they were about to turn out of the parking lot structure in the Bronx, Red Lobster. Is it Co-op City? Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I banged on the window, "Give me my pen!" And I literally banged on their window hard enough to break it. So they were like, "What the heck?" And they got out of the car, both of them. And I went back in the restaurant, and they told on me, and I got fired.
I have so many questions, guys. Was it a nice pen?
It wasn't a nice pen. It was not an unusual pen in any way. It was just the principle. It was like, you didn't tip. I gave you amazing service. Sometimes people are rude because they know they don't have enough money to tip, but they want to go out to a restaurant anyway. And I guess, you have the right to not tip or not leave a big tip. But don't take my pen.
There we go.
So, that was that. And they marched in the restaurant, And they went straight to my manager and told on me. And that was it. That was the last time I got fired, though. At that time, I think I had been fired from restaurant maybe 5 or 6 times already. I figured this was enough. I went on to start getting fired from other places, like call centers and stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, resilience,
Yes.
grit.
And I can type.
How fast can you type?
Wow, I haven't been asked that in so long. I would say maybe 30. Is that
That's
bad or good? 30 words per minute or 20? I don't know. I haven't done that in a while, but I know all of my key. I know where everything goes. Like
I'm going to be honest. That's okay. That's okay.
Thanks.
But it's hard with nails to type.
Oh no,
also.
I didn't have nails at that time when I was doing that.
Okay.
We had to type very fast because once the person gets off the phone, you already have to have all the data in the system. So while you're talking, you're kind of like, oh, okay, thank you. You have to type everything before they get off the phone, because if they hang up the phone and you didn't put the data in, someone calls right back in, and you have to take that call. Now, when that customer calls back, their information isn't updated, and they're going to start yelling and screaming. So, yeah.
I was not expecting, by the way, this conversation to go this direction.
It's a good direction.
We talked about words per minute. We talked about Red Lobster. We talked about pen theft. I know what I'm sending you for Christmas, a box of pens. It's happening. So on Instagram, you have over 220 million followers, which is a lot of people, guys. As someone who works at Instagram, let me tell you, that's a lot. And 500,000 people on your broadcast channel alone. I think this is reflective of the passion that your fans have for you. Can you talk a little bit about fan culture? When did you first realize that your fan culture would be a true movement?
That's a great question. I think before I signed and actually had a record deal, my fans were making a moment for themselves on Twitter. I had already given them a name. In fact, do you know that all these artists that give their fans names now, like when I started calling my fans the Barbs, there were no rappers naming their fans. There were only 2 people at that time, and I don't know which came first. I know Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga. They had Beliebers and Monsters. Those were that was it. That was it. Now every single human being that becomes an artist gives their fans a name. Even artists in other countries, I didn't even know that. Like some of the African artists that I love, when I would look into them, they would have names for their fan base. And I was like, whoa, yeah. So I didn't think it was something that would spread to the hip-hop community at all. But it doesn't matter, because the Barbs are still superior. They are different because what they do is they do it with passion. If you do anything, it has to be rooted in love. So sometimes people do things and it's rooted in revenge or vengeance. And that doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't take off. It does something for a moment, but that's that. But because the Barbs and I we really love each other, and also because they actually like my music, which people forget now too, that music is what's being sold. So if you do everything else right and you don't know how to make music or write a great song, it doesn't matter how big your butt is. It doesn't matter what brands you wear. In the root of everything has to be the talent and the passion. Understanding what you do and why. If you're only doing it to compete, it's going to come and go. Because the universe doesn't honor that. It honors that passion that you've always had inside of you, that you know that you're put here to do something. And you do it with all of yourself. You love doing it, that thing. Like music always seemed to be my rescue, my place, my go-to place, I came from another country, Trinidad, and when we came to New York, it was scary being an immigrant and speaking differently. And back then, you know how kids are. They would definitely tease you if you have an accent and stuff like that, or what you eat and all that stuff. Like when I went to my first school trip, my mother didn't know you were supposed to buy like a hero from the corner store to go to the trip. So she sent me with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and all the kids laughed.
Oh. You can't even do peanut butter in school trips anymore. It has to be sun butter.
Really?
Like because of peanut allergies.
Oh.
I know this because I packed for a field trip. Now I'm paranoid I didn't get her, you know, a sandwich from the corner store. Maybe my kid's a social pariah.
Nice.
I should have done that.
Nice. But yeah, so we didn't know anything about American culture, and we had to learn as we went along. But at that time, that was my first album, so I didn't even think anybody was gonna buy my first album. So it ended up, it broke huge records, and I was thinking, oh no one knows me. It's not gonna sell. No one's gonna hear it. But yeah.
Well, in like about a decade later, you did end up on the cover of Vogue in a full circle moment. And first of all, I think on your speed dial, you should change Anna's name to Baby Girl. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
And secondly, I'd like to hear a little bit for this audience that's fashion obsessed. We've been seeing this amazing slideshow of images of your fashion evolution. That was a decade ago. How do you feel like your confidence in fashion and self-expression has evolved?
Well, you know what? Someone told me years ago, a few different women in my life, at different times in my life, told me, when you get to a certain age, you're going to be so happy. The things that you used to worry about and think about and care about, you won't anymore. You'll have this confidence. And I said, no, you know, I was sweating the small stuff, so to speak, you know. And of course, they were all right. They were all right. What happens is you realize that who cares? Like, who cares about most of the things that we spend time worrying about or thinking about if someone said something about us or what comment someone left on the internet about us? You realize, wait a minute, I have all these blessings in my life and I'm choosing to focus on people who don't like me or like, you know, it just, anyway, so that confidence when you turn a certain age, I feel like when you turn 30, 40, 50, you know, I think like milestone ages, right? Especially for women, your confidence just grows and grows and grows. And also, this is true and every woman knows it, you also know what looks good on your body. You start knowing what looks like what hairstyle fits your face, what makeup fits your face. You just start understanding yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you forgive yourself. You're able to love yourself, and you're able to love the imperfections that you never loved before. I couldn't look at old photos of myself before, and when I look at them now, I love them. I don't know what was going on in my brain at that time that made me feel that way, but thank goodness it left. And I hope all girls everywhere, girls or boys everywhere, I hope that that one day you're going to look back at those pictures that you hate and you're going to realize, oh my God, look how beautiful, look how pretty, look how cute I was. So do it now. Like, love yourself now. That's what I would say about that, because that's how I really feel right now.
I love that. You have a lyric about shooting with Karl Lagerfeld.
Yes.
Before his passing. I know that you were one of the last shoots that he did. Can you talk a little bit about that for the fashion fans in the audience?
Sure. I don't know why meeting him, I was very nervous, of course. Well, you know why, of course. It was him. But he made me feel so welcome. He was very warm.
Very funny.
He's funny. He's obviously very smart. But one of the things I will never forget about him is how fast he knows if we have the picture or not. And I said, oh my God, because I always feel like that. I always feel like you don't need to take 100 pictures. You don't need to take 300 pictures, right? But some photographers just like having it because they're like, you never know when the magic's gonna happen. But with Karl, he knew, and he would take 5 pictures and he would say, and then, or he would take 10 pictures and say, we got it. And I was
he would do a thumbs up.
Yeah, he would say, we got it. But he wasn't very loud. He was very suave. He had his shades on, his fly clothes.
Oh.
He looked very, very fly in person every time I ever saw him. But for that photo shoot, I just remembered how he didn't need a lot of time to think about if we have something special or not. So for that photo shoot, there was one outfit that we didn't use, but he knew within 2 minutes. Nope, it's not gonna work. Bye, take it off. I was like, okay. But I loved him. I loved him before I knew him. I loved his work before I knew him. Never thought I would have the opportunity to be photographed by him, to be honest. Never, ever in a billion years saw that coming, but another blessing.
Well, your career has been, and your life has been a series through incredibly hard work of these milestone, never thought I would ever fill in the blank moments. What's left? I mean, is there anything left?
Another great question.
I'm asking the deep ones. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, why not? Aren't we all tired of the non-deep questions and the fluff and the nonsense?
Oh, don't worry, I have that too.
Oh, okay. Well, what's next is, focusing on my son. Because I love him so much.
Well, that was actually my next question, because you have a lot of nicknames. You love a nickname. Queen of Rap, Roman, Nicki Lewinsky, Nicki the Ninja, Nicki the Boss. The list goes on, Nicki the Harajuku Barbie. But I feel like your favorite nickname is probably Mom or Mommy, right? And I know you have a 4-year-old son. That's a crazy age. I have 3 kids, 10, 7, and 3.
Oh my gosh. So you know exactly what I'm going through right now. Oh my gosh. Anybody with toddlers? Oh my gosh.
There's like 2 people. There's only 2 people in the room.
Do you guys have children and you remember what the toddler stage was like? I wish I had people to help me. The thing is, I was pregnant during COVID, right?
Yeah.
And it was at the time when it was the scariest time of COVID because we didn't know how dangerous it was. And I didn't want anyone to fly in from New York because I didn't want to be responsible for a loved one going on the plane and getting COVID, so I didn't even let anyone fly into Cali to help me. But now I realize you do need women that have had children to, I made a lot of mistakes with that. But I remember everybody telling me, oh, toddler age, it's going to be some of the most fun stuff you've ever experienced. It's gonna be a lot because they are very, but it's true. Every single day. And this did not happen before my son was born. The first thing when I wake up and I look at and I see him, I'm in a good mood. That's the only thing that when I experience in the morning, because you know how when you get up in the morning, you think about all the things you have to do, and you think about all the things you didn't do, and then you think about, oh my God, this is gonna, like, you just worry, in the morning, instead of saying, I'm going to be amazing today, everything's gonna go in my favor today, things are gonna work out today. Most of the times we wake up, before we even get out of bed, we're just worrying. And once I had my son, that changed for me, because he would either run in my room or I would go in his room, and when I see him, he's just so sweet. So I have no choice but to light up when I see him. And I think I needed to learn that. I think I needed to learn to be just grateful, just to wake up, just for the day, just for nothing else but the people that you have around you in your home, or the people who you can count on, people who love you, just for nothing else. As opposed to waking up thinking, I didn't get this yet, and I didn't get this yet, and I want this amount of money this year, and I don't. That's what I was doing every other time. But since my son got here, it's different. And then once I stopped all of that worrying, I was able to finally write this last album and complete it to my standards, and felt like it was great enough for my fans. So I guess what I'm saying is, whatever you do in life, the moment you let go, it's the moment everything comes to you, right? Like, I don't know if anyone understands. Like, the moment you have nothing to prove, or you're not chasing anyone or anything, or you're not, like, in need, everything comes. You just attract things. And I always tell people, being broke is a state of mind. I'm sure every single person in here knows someone who may have had the same amount of money as you growing at a certain age, but something about them, they always presented themselves or made people looked at them as if they had more, because they knew they would get it eventually. So they kind of walked around with this thing about them. And yeah.
This was extremely philosophical, guys. I am like soaking this up. I feel like you could write, truly, you had people transfixed, and that was very profound. Truly, and I feel embarrassed to ask my fluffy questions now.
No, don't.
About like how motherhood has changed your style, because I am curious, because I saw on Instagram you had a picture where you're wearing all white and your son is wearing all white, and as a mother of a toddler, how are you wearing all white with a toddler?
I had just come home from a show. And he does this thing where he wants to make sure, while we were on tour, he didn't want to like ever have his sneakers off, or he would be completely dressed thinking like, okay, just in case they're getting in the bus or the plane or whatever, I want to be there. Because he thinks like he's a rock star, like he's living that life and going out going on the bus all the time. But he was dressed when I came back from my show. It was like 2:00 in the morning.
Aww.
And he wants to always be dressed. I've never seen any kid do that. He wakes up in the morning before he eats breakfast. He puts on clothes.
Whoa.
And a hat.
A hat? Tell me about the hat. Baseball cap, fedora?
Yeah.
A newsboy?
Like a fitted cap. He wears he puts those on every morning. He wakes up and he goes straight to his clothes. He wants to be dressed. We don't know where he's going. when he was 1, we saw him going like this, like looking at us from the corner of his eye and acting as if he was about to go through the laundry room and like escape from our house. He was 1 and some change. I never knew a child could be like slick.
I'm not surprised though. You're a child. Come on, I love that. So I believe we have time for 2.
Oh, but I'm sorry,
questions.
Mama.
Oh,
My
go,
fashion
go.
did change. My fashion choices, not necessarily with my son, but the lyrics I write started to weigh heavier on my mind once I had a child. And even while I was pregnant, I couldn't write certain things. I just felt like ill. But I don't think it's necessarily that I have a child that changed my style. I think it's just growing up, evolving, and like I said, loving yourself more so you can be a little bit understated. I think when I was doing all of the bigger stuff, it was to cover up something else, you know? But I'm still sporty sometimes and sexy sometimes. I love wearing comfortable stuff, to be honest.
The heels today don't seem comfortable. They're low though. They're like 4 inches.
They're a lot with the heavy coat. It was a lot.
This is a thick. Is it Schiaparelli? Is it like it's very thick and heavy? I like.
I know this wall is.
Are we about to do a fit check?
This wall is a lie, but
it's Schiaparelli.
Yes, it is.
We saw the Schiaparelli.
Who's absolutely one of my faves.
I love.
Yes.
Okay, so because I know that there are audience members with questions, we're gonna go. I cannot see a thing because we have bright lights. We're gonna start here with. Let's start with the young lady. Move back, and you guys have the world's. Like you got to talk real fast.
Hi, Nicki. I love you.
Mama.
Okay, so one of the things I admire about you is that you're always speaking up when there's injustices. So how did you get the confidence to advocate for yourself, especially as a Black woman in a male-dominated industry? Clock it.
Well, speaking up for anything is hard. No matter how brave a person seems, they're just like you. They're just like everyone else. It's scary. But I don't know. I always had to be around men to be a rapper. I would always be the only girl there most of the time. But I have a very masculine vibe when I need to. So I think that's why I was able to do well in this space. But in terms of speaking up for injustice, I was always like that since I was in school, since I was in elementary school. I was one of those kids, like if I saw someone being bullied in school, I would say, no. You know, I was always like that. I always take up for people. So that's never going to change.
Thank you. And then I think there was a question.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, hi. Yes.
You collaborated with a lot of people. Madonna, Drake. I mean, the list goes on and on. Who challenged you the most, both on the music or fashion side?
It's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. Definitely on the fashion side, I would say Madonna for the Super Bowl. And I ended up loving what she came up with. But I remember walking into, like, the Super Bowl thing. They were rehearsing, and I had to perform with her. And I didn't believe how many people were there just for clothes. And I thought it was for Madonna, but they were for her dancers. And, like, she had, like, 10 different outfits just for her dancers alone to choose from. And I was like, oh my God, this woman has a lot of money because this is crazy. and you know, she was very like, and which I am like that too. Anything, like all the dancers around me, whatever, I want to look at them and see exactly how it looks, or the people in my video. So she was very fixated on things like that, and I ended up loving what I wore, what she chose for me to wear at the Super Bowl. In terms of challenging me musically, I had writer's block after having my son. And the song Seeing Green is the first song, which features Drake and Wayne, is the first song that I wrote and completed after having the baby. And I was so scared because not one thing could come to me for months and months and months. And then Drake sent me this song, and I'm like, uh-oh, now what am I going to do? Am I going to be a baby, or am I going to rise to the challenge? And I kept sending him different verses, and he and I would both be like, it's missing this, or it's missing that, or whatever. And then I ended up finally getting a verse that he loved and I loved, but it was very, very challenging. I didn't know that after you have a baby, things that came so naturally to you could change, you know. I had no clue, but my brain felt so different. I don't know.
I think they just started studying a woman's brain during and after pregnancy. Can you believe in like all this time, last year was the first time they studied a woman's brain during pregnancy, and it's proven that the brain like permanently changes after. So, but you were still...
Are you serious?
Yeah, but you're still able to be incredibly creative and productive, just in a different way.
Wow.
So I think, unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for
your philosophy.
Thank you.
It's great to reunite with you. You can give me another makeover anytime.
I love how you look now.
Feel
you do not
free.
need a makeover.
And enjoy your afternoon, everyone. And let's give Nicki another huge round of applause.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for checking this.